Hello everyone, welcome with me, Adrian Syal. Hello everyone, my name is Adrian Syal. My student ID is B1024201011. I'm a student of Management International Class Faculty of Economy and Business, Universitas Tanjungpura. The purpose of today's video as a form of midterm and conclude the result of half semester discussion on the subject of Human Resource Management delivered by Sir Adi Mursalin SAMM. For Human Resource Management class, I have taken the Zoom class 7 times. I attended the Zoom meeting class of HRM because it was my obligation as a student taking HRM course. And I attended the class because I was interested in Human Resource Management and I wanted to broaden and deepen my knowledge of Human Resource Management and weekly discussion topics. The topic that had been covered or discussed in HRM lecture Zoom meeting were Human Resource Management in Organization, Strategic HR Management and Planning, Equal Employment Opportunity, Worker Job and Job Analysis, Human Resource Planning and Retention, and the latest is Recruiting and Labor Market. I got a lot of new knowledge on every topic of discussion, starting from understanding HRM and how to do a strategic HRM and planning. Another thing I got was how important it is to create a healthy work environment by eliminating discrimination and equality issues as a manifestation of equal employment opportunity. I also learned about job and labor, such as how to do a job analysis to determine a job description and specification, as well as how to retain employee and reduce turnover. And last but not least, I learned about recruiting, starting from definition, method, and a good recruiting process. I'm quite active in discussion during the Zoom meeting class of HRM. I answer about 7 questions that were given. I always give opening comment on Zoom meeting and answer the remaining question via video recorded. Some of the questions I answer were for chapter 1. I answer 2 questions. The first one is what is a human resource management and how do I define human resource management? My answer is human resource management is design management system to ensure of human talent is used effectively and efficiently to accomplish organization goal. But for me, human resource management is a strategic approach to produce a competent professional people and ensure that every skill of people can be used properly for company, organization, and business. The second question is I answer a video that related to human resource management. So the question is what is the title of the video, who is the speaker of the video, explain what the speaker says in the video, what can I get from watching the video, and what is my conclusion after watching the video. So the title of video is Human Resource Management in Organization. The speaker or the owner of the YouTube channel is Gregu. Speaker talk about what is human resource management. Speakers say that HRM is designed formal system in organization to manage human talent for accomplishing organization goals. Speaker also talk about why niche HR in organization. It is because HR have a role as a supervisor professional to managing human resource and their effectiveness. This is done for the success of an organization. What can I get from watching this video is I get a lot of knowledge about HRM. I'm also know more and know how important HR in the organization and know more about how HR can affect organization culture, productivity, and etc. My conclusion is HRM is being a central part that very needed in an organization because human as an asset in an organization become a glue that hold all other parts together to achieve result. That is why HR is very needed to in order to manage the talent that have by an organization, which all of this is done for produce a competent, professional, and ethical human for accomplishing organization goals. For chapter 2, I answer one question. The question is, what do I know about strategy planning process and explain it. My answer is, strategic planning process is a serious process that must be carried out to make a strategic plan for the organization. There are 7 steps of strategic planning process. The first step is organizational mission, where the organization must be able to know the vision, value, culture, purpose, mission to realize it. After the process, a SWOT analysis is carried out regarding to strength and weakness, which are internal factor, and opportunity and threats, which are external factor in an organization. Then after the analysis, the organization must determine the goal and objective of the company, so everything is directed and aligned. After these steps are complete, the organization now strategy formulation will be carried out in the organization. The 5th step is the formulation of supporting functional strategies, which are carried out for the benefit of the functional organization. The next step is the implementation of the strategy that has been made into the organization, and the last step is to evaluate, reassess the implementation of the strategy so that it can be ascertained whether the strategy implemented has brought success or has been implemented properly or not. For chapter 3, I'll also answer one question. The question is, when you work as a manager, how do you manage sex or gender issues at workplace? My answer is, if I work as a manager in an organization dealing with sex or gender issues, first of all, I will instill equal employment opportunity culture in the organization and set rules with intention to prevent sex or gender issues. I will increase diversity in hiring, protect every employee regardless of gender or sex. I would also implement any applicable law for workers who violate or raise, sex, or gender issues within the organization. The Equal Pay Act will also be carried out to reduce pay gap between the gender, but I also would highly recommend for pay based on the value of job and the performance is implemented in organization. This is done to create a friendly work environment and create equality in an organization. For chapter 4, I just did the opening comment and heard the discussion from friend and Sir Adi. For chapter 5, I answer one question related to video that have been given. So the question is, what is the topic about? How do you find the topic discussed by the speaker in the video? How important is the topic to you, and what lesson that I can get from watching the video? So my answer is, the main topic of the video is employee retention. How can I find this topic? Because this has become the title of the video and being mainly discussed about employee retention. I think this topic is very important because understanding about how to retain employee will give a large advantage to organization. This will also help us to understand about how important to retain key or qualified employee, which will lead our organization to success. What I get from watching this video is I know the definition, driver of retention, which employer can take action to retain the employee, like organizational and management factor, employee supervisor relation, job security, and work-life balance, tangible reward, career training and development, and lastly, employer policies and practice. This video also taught me about how managing retention in organization. In conclusion, which management can take a numerous action deal with retention issues. The choice of particular action based on analysis of the turnover and retention problem in particular organization should custom tailor for the organization. Also, for chapter 5, did a closing comment and conclusion in this chapter. For chapter 6, I answered two questions. The first question is, what is this chapter about? Have you read up this chapter? Why and what can you learn from this chapter? My answer is, this chapter talking about recruiting and labor market. I already read up this chapter. This chapter is very interesting because it taught me a lot of things and give me the insight and information that very useful and widening my knowledge about recruiting and labor market. This chapter taught me that recruiting is the process of attracting, assessing, choosing, recruiting, and hiring candidates for a specific position or job. And when we are talking about recruiting, there is a labor market which is referred to the supply of and demand for labor, in which employee provide the supply and employers provide the demand. Today's chapter also show me how important internet means in recruiting, which is more easier and can reach a lot of people that will give a new point of view in an organization. And the chapter show that diversity in recruiting will give a lot advantage to an organization. The second question is, give the closing comment. What is the summary of today's discussion and what can I get from the discussion and how do I find the discussion today? My answer is, in conclusion, the main topic of discussion today are recruitment and the labor market. These two things are interrelated because recruitment is the process to hire worker and the labor market is the market target or a thing that show the population of prospective worker to carry out recruitment. I got a lot of knowledge. The information for today's discussion start from the definition, component, advantage and disadvantage. What is the current state of recruitment, such as internet recruitment, external recruitment, and so on. I found today's discussion is so great that I can hear a lot of opinion from sir and friend. If I am going to work as an SR staff in the future in the organization, I would like to apply the lesson that I learned today about recruitment to hire the right people for my organization. This is done with an intention of hiring a quality employee who can be the future of my organization and can lead grow in my organization. I have video recorded the answer of the question that for the discussion for every chapter. There are 6 videos that I have completed according to the current chapter in the last discussion. The topic of discussion that I have video recorded are human resource management in organization, strategy, HR management and planning, equal employment opportunity, worker job and job analysis, human resource planning and retention, and the lastly is recruiting and labor market. I really enjoy online learning process of HRM lecture because I can make a good use of technology. The atmosphere of learning from home is also comfortable and relaxed, so that what is conveyed can be well received. I'm also very happy to hear opinion and discussion from Sir Adi and my classmate regarding the topic of discussion. The benefit I get from attending the HRM lecture online is that I am more daring or brave to speak in English because Sir Adi gave a special space for us students to develop by giving us the opportunity to speak in conducting discussion in class. Another benefit is that I learn be more confident in making video, and online learning make me maximize the use of technology. To repeat the lesson learned in half semester, there are several questions related to HRM theories. The first one is, how do I find recruiting using special technology means? If I become a recruiter in an organization to take advantage of the use of special technology, then I will attract, assessing, choosing, recruiting, and finding a qualified employee with a wider reach using social media or website. The social media that I might use are currently trending social media like Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or from the website like blogs, official organization website, and job seeker site or application. A lot of organizations nowadays are using internet recruiting. What are advantages or disadvantages of internet recruiting? The advantage of internet recruiting, the primary one is that many employers have saved money using internet recruiting versus other recruiting methods such as newspaper, advertising, employment agency, and search firm, all of which can cost substantially more. Another major advantage is that a very large pool of applicants can be generated of using internet recruiting. Individuals may view an employer more positively and obtain more useful information which can research in a more individual application. Meanwhile, the disadvantage of it is namely because of broader exposure, internet recruiting often create additional work for HR staff member and other internally. And another issue with internet recruiting is that some applicants may have limited internet access, especially individuals from lower socioeconomic groups and from certain racial or ethnic groups. When we are talking about internet recruiting, it means it's related to external recruiting source. So the external source of recruitment means hiring people from outside of the organization. In other words, seeking applicants from those who are external to the organization. External recruiting is a part of effective HR staffing. The advantage of external recruiting source is new source bring new perspective. Training new hire may be cheaper and faster because of prior of external experience. New hire are likely to have fewer internal political supporters in the firm, and new hire may bring new industry insight and expertise. The disadvantage of external recruiting source, namely, the firm may not select who will fit well with the job and the organization. The process may cause moral problem from internal candidates not selected. The third one is new employment require longer adjustment periods as well as orientation effort. So we're gonna jump into chapter 3, which is talking about equal employment opportunity. So there is something called a discrimination on sex or gender. There is also an action that can be considered as discrimination on sex or gender. There is a sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is unwanted physical or non-physical behavior in sexual way that can cause harm and can be in some situation be physically or mentally harmful. This also subject the worker to adverse employment condition or create a hostile work environment. Sexual harassment affect the workplace are tardiness, absenteeism, project neglect, and employee distraction, which is where this can happen because the victim feel uncomfortable, which is in the end occur a turnover of employee. If this continue, the company performance will continue to decline. A lot of people must be asking, can sexual harassment happen at workplace? The answer is of course, because this can happen anywhere regardless of place or time. Most frequently, sexual harassment can happen in the workplace, occur when a male or female in a supervisory or managerial position harass the victim, which can be male or female, within his power structure. There is also a lot of potential sexual harassment that might happen at a workplace, like other employee to employee, co-worker, vendor, or maybe customer. This kind of aid need to be aware by everyone in organization to create a friendly environment in a workplace. So we are gonna jump into chapter 5, which is talking about human resource planning and retention. What is the human resource planning and how do I plan my human resource? So human resource planning is a process of examining and determining the organization requirement for an availability of human resource in order to achieve its goal. To plan my human resource in my company, the first step I will take is analyzing HR supply in our company. The second step requires the company to outline the future of its workforce or forecasting the HR demand. After that, I would balancing the demand and the supply data to making a plan. And the last step is to implementing, developing, and evaluating the plan that has been made. Since we already talking about human resource planning, there is a human resource retention. What are efforts that can be made to retain a key employee or best people in an organization? Can be done by driver of retention, which employer can take action to retain the employee by organizational and management factors such as employee or supervisor relation, job security, work-life balance, tangible reward, career training and development, and lastly, employer policies and practice. By providing the best driver of retention, we can retain key employee in the company. For example, work-life balance. If employer can create flexibility of work, worker will feel comfortable in a job and stay in their job. To maintain a relation by employee and employer, there is something called psychological contract. So psychological contract refer to unwritten expectation employee and employer have about the nature of their work relationship. This will assist employee and employer in resolving a difficult employment relationship. Employee and employer might have a clear understanding of the term and condition and what has been agreed upon. Psychological contract can be strengthened and employee commitment enhanced when the organization is involved in the cause of employee values highly. But there is some component psychological contract should recognize. So for the employer provide competitive compensation and benefit, flexibility, balanced work and home life, and career development opportunities. Meanwhile, the component should psychological contract recognized from the employee is employee contribute continuous skill improvement and increased productivity, reasonable time with the organization, extra effort and research when needed. So this will create a good relation and mutual relation between the employee and the employers. After the discussion about human resource planning, so how does a human resource planning work? So strategic HR planning forecasts the organization future HR need and analyzing the organization current human resource and the external labor market and the future HR environment in which organization will operate. If an organization can make a strategic human resource planning, then the organization can know the human resource needed by the company and bring growth in the organization. There is some references video that related to topic discussion during this half semester. So the first video is this. The first video is talking about 3 most widely used method of recruitment. The first video talk about 3 methods of recruitment. The first one is IQ, or General Mental Ability Test. IQ is the best predictor of academic success, learning ability, and how successful employee in work. The second method is unstructured employment interview, which means an interview from the manager with their own question and assessment. The third recruiting method is a structured employment interview, which is a combine of structured interview and GMA test. The first video taught me that 3 methods of recruiting with the advantage and the disadvantage. And I think the method that should be implemented is the third one, which is structured employment interview. This will help you to predict the performance of the worker in the future. This is also will lower a bias interview, which is unfair in the recruitment. The next video is this. So the second video is talking about recruitment process. So the second video talking about the process in recruitment. The first step is defining the role or job description or qualification. Next step is to build a profile of the ideal person for the job. So next step is attracting applicant. So we need to find a suitable candidate and good quality applicant and use the right method in recruitment to get a relevant and necessary information of applicant. After this step, the next step is selecting the right candidate or choose the right person after the interview done. This second video taught me about the process to do the best recruitment to get the right candidate. And the most important guideline that I get from watching this video is need to be fair in recruitment with help of business advisor or others, so there is no bias in interview for the sake of equality and diversity issues. So this is the third video. The third video talking about sexual harassment in the workplace. The third video is talking about that is sexual harassment is illegal because it against the law Title 7 of Federal Civil Rights Act of 1964. And sexual harassment is negatively impact the workplace by undermining trust and company reputation, harm moral, and will damage productivity. This video, the speaker also tell how to eliminate sexual harassment in the workplace by communicate to employee that harassment will not be tolerated and provide a sexual harassment training and so on. This video also talk about definition, the procedure of reporting sexual harassment and prevent sexual harassment in the workplace. The third video taught me that sexual harassment only has a negative impact on the workplace, namely undermine trust and company reputation, harm moral, and damage productivity in the workplace. Organization must take action to eliminate and prevent sexual harassment in the workplace. And if this happens, this kind of action, which is sexual harassment, the victim must be encouraged to report it.